Hey everyone. Oh, I had to stop touching the table. Ooh. Hey everyone. So today I have quite a deep topic and a very personal topic. And the thing I want to talk about is my history with anorexia. I guess the best way to start this is to kind of explain my backstory with my health. I guess we have to go back to high school is about when it started, or even like a little bit before high school. I was a chubby kid. I wasn't fat by any means, but you know, I was a chubby kid. But I used to eat crap, just complete crap. I'm not talking like a little bit of cake here and some ice cream there. I'm talking fast food every week, ice cream every night, not just a healthy portion, but just ginormous amounts, multiple sodas a day. Like for all of you in the US, Pop-Tarts for breakfast, you know, just so much junk. And I hated vegetables. I just didn't give a crap about taking care of myself. I didn't understand. And I guess most people at 14, 15 don't really care. And the reason it was affecting my life a lot was because I was a ballet dancer. As I mentioned before in my other video, that I trained as a ballet dancer for 15 years, many years. And so I was training every day for the most part. And as I was putting on weight, it was affecting my dancing. And I started getting injured a lot. And I started to hate dance. I didn't want to come to class anymore. I thought I hated it. I made up excuses not to go. I felt strange in my body, and I just felt really uncomfortable, and I just thought I hated dancing. And I remember we went with my family to talk to the director of my ballet school, and because in the ballet school that I went to, there were levels, and as the year ended, you would take like an exam kind of, and they would test you to see if you could go to the next level the next year. Does my weight have anything to do with it? And the director immediately said yes. And at the time, when I heard that, it's not like I automatically heard that and thought, oh my God, I'm so fat. No, it was the opposite of that. It was more like I wanted to kind of take charge of my life. And it didn't happen overnight. I just started kind of tracking what I ate. I kept like a little journal, nothing obsessive. It was just, I wrote down just to see what I'm eating in a day. And because of that, it made me more conscious about what I was putting into my body. And at the same time, my family was also going through kind of a health journey. Growing up, you know, in the US, like after we moved here with my mom, you know, we kind of in the beginning ate a very basic American diet, unfortunately. And we just kind of weren't aware, like my mom and I, of like how bad the food was that we were eating. But I do remember the night that we watched a documentary called Food Inc. with my whole family. And that was kind of the documentary that really did it for our family. It really pushed us to focus on organic foods, whole foods, and it really, the documentary really opened up about the food industry in the US. And it was really eye-opening. And I remember for me, it wasn't like as eye-opening for my parents, but when I watched it, I knew that things had to change, and my mindset slowly started changing. And I slowly started to learn to cook thanks to my mom. She helped me learn how to cook things, and I learned about different foods, and I slowly but surely began eating healthier. And it wasn't, again, in an obsessive way, it was in a very healthful and educational way. And started feeling more and more confident and who would have thought I fell back in love with dance again. I didn't hate going to class anymore. I stopped getting injuries. I felt great. I was getting so many compliments and people telling me that I was a role model and that I was an inspiration. And I remember feeling so good in my skin. And I had never felt that before. And time passed, and the moment that it started to get bad was when I broke up with my first, I guess, true love boyfriend. He broke up with me, and I'm not saying he's the cause, but that was when I started feeling uncomfortable again about myself and realizing, or not realizing, but thinking to myself that I'm not good enough. And I decided to channel all that pain into my looks. And that's when I slowly remember starting to cut things from my diet. It was very slow at first, so it was almost dismissible. I would not eat desserts. That's kind of what the first thing that started, I don't need dessert, I'm fine. And in the beginning it was very slow, and it wasn't an eating disorder yet. I was just really focused on how I looked and really self-conscious and unsure of myself. I was going to university to get my bachelor's in dance. First semester is when I remember that was when it began to get too far. And I don't know exactly what caused it, but I think it was the fact that I was starting university. It wasn't high school anymore. It was growing up. I still lived at home, but it was a completely different environment. It felt very competitive, and I started taking out all the stress on myself, and I started eating less and less. And to compare, or to put into perspective, I was training every single day for many hours a day, and I was slowly cutting back on what I was eating. And when I look back in hindsight, I feel like it was a way, eating disorders are a way of controlling things. What I think frustrates me the most is when people say that eating disorders are about attention, or that they're about just about the looks, but it's so much more than that. Eating disorders are a way of controlling something in your life. When, for me, everything kind of felt chaotic. I was starting university. I was really confused about what I really wanted to do. I wasn't really confident. I was scared of the unknown. And for some reason, being able to control my food was a way of controlling my life, if that makes sense. And for anyone who's had an eating disorder, they can relate to this. And looking back, of course, now I know that's the silliest thing to do. There are much healthier ways to take out your frustration or your stress rather than taking it out on your food. But back then I was 18. I didn't know how else to do it. I didn't have the tools. No one told me. I couldn't understand. I was just scared. And I would eat less and less. And of course, as I was losing more weight, this period of my life kind of becomes foggy. I don't remember things very well, unfortunately, because when you're not nourishing your body, your brain isn't as clear as it usually is. So it's just sad to think that I have a hard time remembering that really dark part of my life. I can't remember everything. And just to put into perspective how much it affected my life, I remember is that my 18th birthday, which is usually like a big birthday, you're turning 18, I didn't eat my own birthday cake because I was afraid I would get fat. And I can never have that memory back again. I can't go back in time and eat that piece of cake on my birthday. I can't. That I skipped out on things, on desserts, with friends, dinner with friends, and just so many memories that I can't have back. But if I could, I would have them back in a heartbeat. Family, of course, started noticing, but I kept saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. And to keep this short, it finally got to the point where I asked for help. I couldn't suffer anymore. I realized I needed help. Remember how much I weighed, but in pounds I know, I don't know in kilos, but it was under 100 pounds. And to put in perspective, I was under 100 pounds and I'm 175 centimeters, which is what, almost 5'9". It was scary, and we finally got in contact with the hospital. They have a few eating disorder hospitals in the United States, and I was admitted into the one in Oklahoma. So I had to go out of state, out of my hometown, to the hospital for 3 months. For the first month, I was in intensive care, meaning actually for the first 2 weeks, I wasn't even allowed to walk. I had to be in a wheelchair every time I moved anywhere. And I couldn't go to the bathroom alone. And you're basically watched all the time. And I remember that my heart rate was so low when I would wake up in the mornings. It was below 40 beats per minute, which I don't know how I was alive even. My dad always tells me how he didn't think we would make it because he didn't think I was gonna make it. I was just like a feather. And the sad thing is, we drove to the hospital. It took us, I don't remember how many hours to drive there, but I don't remember the drive. I was so sick and malnourished that I don't remember. It's just... But anyway, my family dropped me off there, and like I said, I was there for a month in intensive care, and then after I slowly started putting on weight, I was moved to outpatient, which is a little bit looser, but you have a therapist, you have a psychiatrist, and you visit them multiple times a week, and you also have classes every day, based on body positivity and just all kinds of, confidence building classes, and it was an experience. And if it wasn't for that hospital, I wouldn't be here today. I was on my last thread, and the hospital saved me. So at the end of the 3 months, I was finally at a weight that was acceptable. Of course, the whole time I didn't know my weight. It was only up to my therapist and psychiatrist. I was never told my weight, which I did not need to know. Dad picked me up and we drove home. And you would think, okay, this is when I got better, but it was just, it didn't. I was okay for a little bit when I got home. But being back in the environment where I got sick, it was scary. It was really scary. Because breaking a habit is so hard, especially when you've been doing it for months and months and months. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's what you know. After quite a few months, I relapsed and I started exercising like crazy, multiple times a day, and I became obsessed with healthy eating, but this time in a much, much more negative way. I could only eat something if it was quote-unquote clean. It had to be just extremely healthy. I couldn't treat myself. I was eating, and I wasn't starving myself. I was eating. So on the outside, it didn't really look like anything was or it didn't feel like something was wrong, And that's what can be so dangerous about eating disorders, is that for all you know, you could know somebody who has an eating disorder. They don't have to be super, super thin. You never know. The body shape has nothing to do with it. Because on the outside, I mean, yeah, I had lost some of the weight that I had gained at the hospital, but I was eating, I wasn't starving myself, but it was just this vicious, obsessive, healthy eating, and I was trapped again. But I didn't realize it. Now we get to the part of the story that's kind of beautiful, and it's when I bring Estonia into this. Estonia is the reason I healed. Estonia is the reason that I'm here today. I'm healthy. I finally have a healthy body image. I don't obsess anymore about my food. There are still moments where I'm kind of like, oh, I look a bit like this, or I look a bit like that, and my mind will kind of drift and think, oh, I shouldn't be eating this, or I shouldn't be eating that, but I'm able to just snap out of it, because I think to myself the way I was those years ago, and as soon as I think of those moments, I snap out of it, because I never want to be in a place like that ever again. And the reason Estonia healed me was because I realized I needed to change. To really get out of my eating disorder, to really grow as a person, to really find myself, I needed to completely remove myself from anything that would make me spiral down again. And I'm not saying that for you to heal that you have to move 5,000 miles away. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if something feels, if you feel like you're in a rut, or you feel stuck and you feel trapped, you have to change something, whether it's your job, the people you hang out with, where you go to school, anything, your routine, something, change something completely out of your comfort zone. And for me, that was moving all the way here. It was a jump into the unknown. I didn't know what to expect moving here, and I was scared. And moving here kind of forced me to really take care of myself and to really grow as a person. And it was hard at first. It's really hard. Pushing outside your comfort zone over and over and over again. But once you do that enough, it becomes okay. It's not so bad. And it feels great. It feels so empowering. You feel awesome. And the more I did it, the better I felt. And I was just so damn proud of myself. And now I channel most of my stress and all of that into yoga. And being outside really helps when I'm stressed. But I know now not to, if my life feels chaotic, I know not to take it out on my food. Even if life is stressful, I still feed myself, I nourish myself. I have that piece of cake because I want to, and I eat my vegetables because I know they're good for me and I love them too. You can have both, and it's okay. But all of this being said, it's not easy. It took me years. And moving here is what did it for me. And I have so much to thank. I don't know who to thank. I thank Estonia, I guess. It forced me to just go outside myself, to just see the bigger picture, and to realize that things aren't about how you look or anything. And if things feel like too much, that there's better ways to take care of that anxiety. One, I'm so thankful that I moved here, and I'm glad I made that change. And for anyone else suffering with an eating disorder, just bad eating habits or disordered thoughts, anything, I want to say that it can get better. You don't have to live your whole life like that. And if you feel stuck, or you feel uncomfortable, or you feel just out of touch with yourself, no. I'm not saying you have to move here, but make a change in your life. You only have one body, and our job is to take care of it. If you think about it, our bodies do so much for us, so much for us. And when I think back to how much I abused myself physically, and yet here my body is still, my heart's beating, my legs are working, I'm breathing. It's incredible. It's almost took being on my deathbed to realize the beauty of life and how much more there is out there, and that you're not alone. It goes out to you guys, to anyone who feels the same. You can get better. Things can get better. I promise you. I can't promise you enough. But you just have to push yourself outside your comfort zone. Just push yourself. Find something that interests you, something that excites you, something different, and go for it. Just do it. I was so terrified of moving here. I was so scared. But look at me now. It's been 4 years. I've never felt happier about myself. I've never felt more sure of myself. And yes, I have bad days, but those are okay. Those are okay. You have to have bad days to balance out the good ones. But things can get better. I promise.